So looking at the market in the state that it is today, you know, we're October 15th, we're halfway through the month, and we're looking at the sales, and we're at 10-year lows right now for the volume of sales that have happened year to date. The Trans Mountain Pipeline, getting it pushed back, going back to consultation stage, was a setback. But there's a few things that are happening in the oil sands that have a bit of a light right now. Teck Resources and the Frontier Mines, that's gone to public consultation now. Trans Mountain Pipeline, Keystone XL, is they've got all the pipe that's coming in now. They've ordered it. They've bought the materials. They expect construction on that next year. So there's sort of like this glimmer of hope. But then we also have the feds that are threatening to raise interest rates coming into the start of the year. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. But we are seeing some lows right now in the marketplace. So if it feels a bit slow out there for listing traffic, things like that, viewings, it's because it is. It is. And we didn't quite see that uptake yet, so you have to adapt. As for the actual numbers themselves, let's take a look at that. Oil, back over that $70 a barrel, but obviously Canada has that huge discount with the Canadian price. But we do expect to see some fluctuations as Trump and Saudi Arabia seem to start going at it again. But oil is sitting at $71.51 a barrel right now. That's down slightly from $74.31. And the Canadian dollar down slightly following oil at $76 US, or 76 cents US.
Number of listings, this is nice that they are down. It's only by 15, but at least it's not up. And in Calgary, we have 8,030 of them. We'll see that number drop for the next couple of months, hopefully. And in Red Deer, we are up just 7, and that is at 765 listings.
In terms of the months of inventory, sitting in a buyer's market across the board right now, sitting at 5.8, which is up ever so slightly, pretty flat overall. Single-family homes, pretty flat as well, sitting at 4.1 months of inventory, and condos sitting at 7.45 months of inventory right now, still dragging the rest of the market down.
Surrounding areas in central and southern Alberta that we'll chat about. In Okotos, we are at 7.23 months of inventory, Airdrie 5.8, Cochrane 7.67, Strathmore 9.84, Sundre 18.7, Chestermere 6.63, Red Deer is at 6.65. And Lindsey, really quickly, just for everybody watching right now, we use the word absorption rate.
Yeah.
That's very much an industry term. As far as everybody watching, explain that in the most simplest way.
Sure. If no other listings were to come on the market right now, at the current pace of sales, how long would it take for everything to sell? And that is, we also use it synonymously with the term months of inventory. So how many months would it take everything to sell that's currently listed at the current pace of sales?
And to define everything, everything is retail products only. It does not include new builds or anything people see as far as show homes or developers in new communities. Is that correct?
Whatever's on MLS.
It's only so there's a lot of products that isn't on MLS.
Yeah, and that's one of the things to consider too. Is we were looking at a development in Mission, and we're looking. There was 50 units, 25 have sold. So there's still 25 available, but only 3 of the 25 are listed on MLS. One of each unit type. So a studio style, 1 bedroom and a 2 bedroom. That's what they list on MLS. So there's actually 22 units available that aren't on there. We sometimes call that shadow inventory, and that is even builders. They list a few spec homes on MLS, but they have a lot of inventory. So even though buyers are out there buying, we might see the MLS numbers come down. So there's a lot of product for realtors too that can be sold that aren't on MLS. So the sales numbers aren't a direct reflection of the number of sales that have happened out there, but it's a good indicator because we always have a bit of shadow inventory in the marketplace. But right now it is heavier.
I think it's important too for all of you watching to make sure that you're having conversations with, make sure the realtors and clients are having conversations together, because those numbers are so different depending on the community. Obviously your inner city, older neighborhoods aren't going to have the same type of development, but sometimes in the peripheral areas, if you're looking to list your home, those numbers could be very different depending on how much is being built.
Totally, and higher months of inventory indicates that it's more of a buyer's market because the buyers have the power, there's more inventory available, and a lower months of inventory indicates it's a seller's market where the sellers would have more power.
Absolutely. So some final numbers as far as the market's going. Our benchmark price in Calgary is $428,700. And then in Red Deer, our average single-family home is $356,372, and the average price of condos is $197,224.
Yeah, let's quickly talk about, just for a second here, what this means for sellers. For sellers, the competition out there across all price product categories is pretty fierce. So they need to be positioned. If you guys have the motivation as sellers and you got to get sold, then there's less buyers in the market, so you have to ensure yours sells first, which means that you got to make sure you do everything to make your product stand out as well. Are you staging the inside of it? Are you making sure that your house is ready to sell? And for buyers, there's a talk of interest rates increasing in 2019, which might reduce your purchase power a little bit. So you might want to take advantage of it, and there's actually never been, or take advantage of the interest rates right this second, which are historically low still.
Yes.
And the other thing too is that if you're looking at move-up market, the higher end homes have never been cheaper, and now's your time to get a good deal, and you're in control. So when you're looking at, if all of a sudden Trans Mountain gets approved and Keystone gets further along, you're going to lose some power because you're not going to have the negotiation power as consumer confidence goes up. So buyers, I mean, if I was in the market to buy right now, I'd be licking my chops a bit as to all the options that we have. And now, in my opinion, is the time to pull the trigger on that.
Awesome. Good advice.
Yeah. In terms of the realtors and the realtor side of things, you guys got to be chatting with your clients to determine the motivation. Some listings aren't saleable. It's like they're like, I want to put my feelers out there. Well, that's going to cost you money to hold the listing inventory, and you're not getting the same traffic that would justify the marketing on the side of it. So find out the level of motivation. And Kirsten, what you guys have set up with AdWorks and things like that is, you have such a good opportunity to position yourself as the #1 person to get the most exposure for the property. So kudos to your team on that. Thank you. The client situations for getting into the market, the buyer side, is pretty unique. I mean, there's so much value in the higher end homes, like we said, but there's also still downward pressure on prices, and so there's that looming fear out there about will prices go up or down. But with the interest rates coming, you got to explain that now is the opportune time. Favorite quote, Warren Buffett, when people get fearful, get greedy, that's the time to do it now. And the other thing I just want to mention is that the market is a bit like riding a bike right now for realtors out there. Imagine you're pedaling along at a constant pace and all of a sudden you hit a hill. Well, if you were to exert the same amount of force on that hill, you're going to slow down. So if you're out there working your business, making the same amount of phone calls you are to your existing database, meeting with the same amount of clients, networking, doing the same amount of marketing, since the market got harder, you're going to slow down. And what happens is some people feel like they're slowing down, they lose confidence, so they stop doing the activities. So now you're pedaling, and you actually pedal less. You're actually exerting less force, which means you're going to come to almost a complete stop and actually lose traction on that hill now, which means that you're going to position yourself to be in a big decline, and that's what you're going to see. So now that you've hit the hill, you got to pedal harder. You got to pedal harder instead of having to make 7, 8, 10 calls to your database. Now you got to be ramping it up, and not calls to your database. You got to be sitting more open houses. You got to be getting out there. You got to do more because there's upward resistance on that.
And we just released a video a few weeks ago, and it was on Agent Pursuit, and I was interviewing you, and the topic of it was how to recession-proof your business.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen that, it is posted on agentpursuit.com right now. It's about an hour long. But one of the things that you spoke about in your own business, for people who didn't watch it, is you went through that. And I love your analogy of continuing to pedal harder because, as we all know, and we've all seen the real estate cycles like this for the last 50 years. And one of the things that you guys were able to do so well is you kept pedaling, you reduced your expenses, and then as soon as the market came back a little bit, you had so many irons in the fire that lost income, it just came back like that because you just had this massive group of people that were just ready, connected to you, you were top of mind, and then it just completely built.
And one of the things I love is that one of the things we looked at is how do we utilize the resources we have, and when you look at the tools that CIR is offering, now's the time to plug in and tap in because that's like putting putting that motor in that bike to help you get up that hill. So
awesome.
So you can't pedal the same. You can't pedal the same as you did last year. You can't pedal the same as you did the year before. And markets like 2014, 2006, those are just coasting downhill. So don't expect those all the time.
There you go.
All right, that's your market update. Let's talk a little about what's happening in the company.